I'm JPTV 3000. I'm here with
Luke.
Luke, man, appreciate that, man. Thank you for your time. And man, how did you get into the barking?
I got into the oil field back in 2014. I had been in the car business out in California for about 10 years, and I really just wasn't happy with the money I was making and the hours I was putting in.
Yeah.
And I had a couple friends come to the Bakken, and they came back and showed me copies of their paycheck, and that was all it took for me.
Yeah. Luke, also, I've heard and I've also seen that you've got a YouTube channel. What are you doing on your YouTube channel, and what do you like to put up?
My YouTube channel is based on a couple things, really. I do a few oil field videos about the Bakken and truck driving, and I also do a lot of videos about Tijuana, Mexico. I lived in Tijuana for a long time.
Okay, so you got experience about living down there, so you can give people that perspective that they haven't had before.
Right,
okay.
And we go over all kinds of stuff, all the stories you hear about the border towns and the clubs and the girls. We talk about it all.
Okay. I'll also put a link in here where people can find your YouTube channel. You'll see it right there. And we can get back to that oil field conversation. Luke, how long have you been trucking, man?
6 years. I started 2014.
What's some of the things you saw in 14 when you first started trucking that just stuck with you?
Well, when I started trucking, I went straight from the car dealership to CDL school. And then as soon as I got out of my CDL school, I came to North Dakota. So I really don't have that much experience as over the road, so to speak. All my experience is oil field trucking, with the exception of about 6 months. Everything I've done has just been oil field.
And what do you like more in the oil field? I'll say at least rate truck driving in the oil field. You know, do you like tanker more, flatbed?
Water hauling is, to me, I've made the most money hauling water, hands down, no questions asked. Now I will say this, with water hauling, they either pay you by the hour or they pay you by the barrel. And I think by the hour wins 9 times out of 10. I really don't do barrel work. I will say this, the most money I ever made in my life was on a barrel job.
That's because you can turn and burn, bro. You can turn and burn.
That's right. But the problem with that is if anything goes wrong, if there's a line at the disposal, if there's a traffic jam, the truck breaks down, you work all night, you don't make nothing.
Yeah, it's 5 trucks in line. Okay, they have 5 lanes, now they have 4. Now they have 2. The tanks are high, so now you can't take them to the whiteout. You got to take them to the NGL or a good night or something.
Right, and if you're getting paid by the hour, you're like, I've been here for 5 hours. I'm $700 ahead. I'm good.
Exactly, exactly. What's your opinion on the current state of the oil field and all of the stuff that's going on right now?
You know, it's tough out here right now because the price of oil has fell. And from what I've seen, there's a lot of companies shutting down operations or cutting way back on budget. And work is not near like it was, you know, back in the boom or even 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I tell people about North Dakota and the oil field is this. You know, when it gets tough in North Dakota like it is now, that's fine, but it's a lot tougher other places.
Yeah. The
money is still better in North Dakota, to me, I think it is, than it is trucking anywhere else. Even when it's bad, you know, it still beats other places. That's just my opinion from the research I've done and the people that I talk to.
And that also goes into what we were talking about earlier. When you look at Texas versus here, when you look at Oklahoma versus here, when you look at Pennsylvania versus here, or over the road versus here, it ain't no competition. Right?
It's no contest. North Dakota rates, and I don't care if you're in Midland, Odessa, or you're in, you know, Oklahoma or wherever you're at, the rates in North Dakota are going to be 30% higher across the board. You're hauling water, you're hauling sand, whatever it is. And that's why I stick it out up here. I'm not going to go work somewhere and do the same job for 30% less.
Have you had a chance to haul sand or sandboxes?
Yes, I've hauled sandboxes 4 different times.
Have you ever hauled pneumatics?
No, just boxes.
You like boxes or?
I've never made any money hauling boxes.
Okay, that answers that.
It's always been a long wait, and they don't pay demurrage time. They don't pay your wait time.
Okay. You just get the you get to wait for the sand, the load, and then you get the distance from to and from, or just one way?
Well, it's one way, but it's about double what it should be, so it's about to and from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, man, what advice do you have for people that are thinking about getting into the oil field?
I think you just have to make up your mind to do it, and you got to come to North Dakota, and you just have to jump in head first and give it a try. That's what I think. I mean, a lot of people try to talk you out of it. A lot of people will try to tell you it's not a good deal, or you don't know anybody up there. Well, nobody in Williston really is from Williston.
Exactly.
Everybody just came up here, like you did, like I did. I would say just, I've never seen anyone come up here to North Dakota with determination to make it, not make it.
Exactly. Yeah. That is perfectly said. If you're serious about it, you're gonna succeed. It's kind of like the analogy of going from 1 to 10, and 10 being success. So you're going to 10. So the steps 0 through 9 don't matter because you're going to 10 anyway.
Right.
And that's the best mindset to have when you come to North Dakota. Just don't bring your bad or your negative attitudes. Don't bring your bad habits, whatever they may be, whether they be emotional, physical, or substance. Keep them where they're at. They're just going to get worse. So bring the best you and be the best you that you can be here.
Yeah. And another thing too about people when they come to North Dakota, you have to realize even right now, like Walmart in Williston pays $17 an hour. You don't want to work at Walmart. You don't want to work at Subway. Well, you might have to for a week or so until you do get that oil field job. And, maybe you want to work, hauling production water or something like that. So maybe you have to take a job at a disposal first or on a frack site first. But there's plenty of work there's pipeline work going on up here.
Yep.
I mean, there is work up here, and before you know it, you're going to meet people, you're going to make a few connections, and you can get where you want to be.
And since you said that, something else I also want to bring up to people. When it comes to looking for oil field work and oil field jobs, you need to look within what's available to you. Nobody's going to pay you $800,000 a year if you're not a $100,000 a year person. I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm just being honest with you. Because if you don't have any oil field experience, if you don't have a CDL, if you don't have something that gets you out of competing with the entry-level jobs with everybody else, you're going to have to start at the bottom with the 0 step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way on up to 10.
And one thing I can say, and I don't know how you feel about this, maybe you can comment on it, but from what I've seen in the oil field, it's different from other industries. Like I know when I was in the car business, they'd always tell you, if you sell this many cars, we'll make you a manager. If you sell this many cars, we'll pay you a bonus. They were always promising things, but at the end of the day, I was never moving up. I was never getting a promotion. I was never getting a pay raise. But in the oil field, if you're a good hand and you hustle and you work hard and you're responsible, you will move up.
Yeah.
I've moved up incredibly in this industry, and you have too.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Hard work, determination.
And you will move up fast.
Yeah, because it's a matter of every company wants to keep the best people that are available for the job. When it comes to layoffs, that can be tricky because if a company needs to cut a quarter of the workforce, hey, they need to cut a quarter of the workforce, and if it's a matter of who isn't working on an account, that brings up another thing that I want to bring up. There's work going on right now. Some of it is contracted work. That contracted work has already been agreed that it's going to get done in 2020. So that work is available. The budget has already been set for it outside of whatever they cut. But the leases that have to be done, the leases that are set to expire, that work has to be done by a certain time. And when it comes to companies that are hiring, entry level is just about always flowback, because flowback is pretty hard. It's a physical job. Fracking, the thing that I tell people with fracking jobs is there are a lot of opportunities in frack, because you've got the pump operator, you've got the chem guy, you got the 2 or 3 sand guys, you've got the ground balls, you've got the treater, and you've got your guys doing pump down, you've got your wireline guys, you've got your water transfer guys. And you've got all of those different positions that can be available to a person when that need comes along that they need to hire somebody. It's just that you need to be willing, ready, and able, and you're invested that you're going to make this work and you're going to be here.
Oh, I agree with that. With what you said about being on a frack crew, and plus it gets you familiar with the whole operation, and you learn that, you know, it was drilled first, and now they're going to frack it, and then they're going to come in and go to production, and you learn terms, and you know, like you were just saying, the treater, the dance floor,
Yeah.
the pad, the pump jack. You know, you learn things that you learn a lot very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, pump down, freshwater guys, whatever it is.
And also, since you said that, there are so many things that go into the oil field. You know, because a lot of people have asked and left comments, how do I get onto a drilling rig? I don't know. I've never worked with a drilling rig. Well, how do I get onto a frack rig? I hear you saying frack rig, asking me that question, but it's not a frack rig. But
Right.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. And that's another thing. People can tell that if somebody doesn't know what they're talking about when they're using words that don't fit and you're trying to get a job in something.
Exactly. I had a guy called and I asked him if he had any oil field experience, and he said yes. And I began talking to him about it, and he said he worked on a drilling rig, and I said, well, what kind of rig?
Yeah.
A workover rig? And he was like, well, what do you mean, what kind of rig? So, I mean, if you're looking for a job, like he said, frack's a great place to start, because the oil field is, as simple as it is, it's very dynamic too.
Yeah.
Simple things like wearing your PPE, your hard hat, your steel toe boots, your FR clothing, things like that are absolutely mandatory to be on location, and you would never just not do that. And
Exactly.
a lot of people don't even know, that are probably watching this video, they don't know what that is. They're not having your JSA signed.
Exactly.
Simple things that you think don't matter will get you kicked off location and fired.
Yep.
So
Just like a truck driver comes in and he hasn't signed a JSA, and the company man looks at it and he finds it. And how come you haven't signed a JSA?
mhm.
Did you not know that we didn't have a JSA? You know they have a JSA on every location you go on, and then a person having to explain how come they didn't sign it. So it's just like you said, it's dynamic. The oil field is simple, but it's also complicated because there's so many different moving pieces, from the initial preparing the ground, just that by itself. The people that come in and when they do the dirt work, clear it, flatten it out, and when they prepare it for the, I can't remember what they call it, but it's not the drilling, but it's where they come in and when they make the initial hole. It's that. That's a company that does that, and workover rig companies tend to do that work, and then they come in and drill it and cement it, and that's a whole process. Up here, then they come in, they frack it, wireline, like we were saying before, frack, wireline, water transfer, flowback, and as y'all have heard from other videos, flowback is pretty, I mean my bad, not flowback, but water transfer is pretty light work. It's not as heavy as frack, and I wouldn't tell any of y'all to go do workover rig unless you're about that life. If you ain't about that life, don't mess with workover rig. Don't bother them, because you just visiting to work for a little while, then probably gonna quit, because that's just a different lifestyle. It's just like flowback. If you ain't serious about doing flowback, leave them people alone, because they have a lot of work to do. They have to work as a team, and you need to be about doing that. But man, you got any other experiences in the oil field?
I really don't. I mean, just from the trucking side, I've done pretty much everything. I've hauled the water, fresh, production, flowback. I've hauled sand. I've hauled the scoria when they build the pads, like you was just talking about. The bottom line is, even though oil's down right now and things are a little slow, I believe there's still room here for opportunity, and it's not as good as it once was, but it'll come back. But you have to be determined, and it's definitely a no excuse industry.
Yeah.
I mean, people, like he was just talking about having a JSA sign. It doesn't matter what you tell them, it's not going to be good enough to get you out of trouble.
Yeah, because you should have just signed a JSA. And most of the times they have a safety meeting, especially on the frack. They have a safety meeting at the beginning of every shift. Mm-hmm. The truck driver, usually the only truck drivers that aren't in the safety meeting are the ones that are hauling off production water if they're flowing back the well. they'll usually have the one guy that's doing service work, you know, he'll be part of the JSA, and the other guys that are coming in and out, they'll usually sign in one time and then that's it. And unless they have different information. Got anything else you want to throw in there, Luke?
No, I think that's about it.
Luke, man, I appreciate that. You got any friends or anybody out there want to give any shout outs or business on spotlights too?
All I can say is if you guys are interested in going to Tijuana, Mexico, check out my channel, Luke Powell, and I'll give you all the information you want to know about that. I lived in TJ for about 10 years, and it's a lot of fun.
Man, appreciate that, man. And matter of fact, the two guys that were in the video that uploaded today, Shaq and Anthony, they were talking about going to Mexico, and they were trying to get me to go with them, but I gotta go to work. So for you guys that are watching this, that's something for y'all to keep in mind. Luke, appreciate that, bro.
Hey,
thank you, man, and man, hopefully everything works out. Also, be on the lookout for for more stocks and oilfield investment videos. We'll be talking about some more of those, and y'all stay safe. And I forgot to ask you about what's your opinion on the whole coronavirus thing?
Wow.
Go is I forgot, man. I should have brought it up sooner, but go as deep as you're willing to.
Well, I lost a $200,000 a year oilfield job because of the coronavirus, right off the bat. You know, I don't know. You know, I from the statistics that I've seen, and maybe the information that I've seen is not right. It's not correct.
Seen the same information that I've seen.
But I've seen the information that says that, you know, a lot of people are getting this, and that the good majority of almost all these people are getting over it. And I saw a deal the other day that said something like there was people. A prison did a test. They had 3,000 inmates, and like 92% of these inmates had tested positive for it and showed no symptoms at all. So, I mean, I do understand it has affected a lot of people, and it has killed people and everything. You know, so has the flu, so has automobile accidents.
Exactly.
And from what I've seen, you know, me being a middle-aged healthy guy, I'm personally not worried about it.
I'm the exact same way. Please chill out with that toilet paper. It's getting old. Of all things, just like I was saying, and with the video with Garrett in it, I could understand non-perishable food. I could understand water, but toilet paper, of all things.
This whole thing has cost a lot of people a lot of money. And there are a lot of small businesses that are not going to be able to recoup from this deal.
Yeah, May 1st, everything should be going back to normal. All I know is, as a person that's in the position that I am now, I'm seeing this. I'm like, oh, okay. So now is the time to be buying stocks. Now is the time when all of that stuff falls down, because some of that in the market, that steep fall was people selling off stuff at a large amount. So they could keep that money and then just come back and slowly buy back up over time.
Yeah, I think as far as the stocks too, like for the oilfield stocks, I'm telling you, I think the big companies, Marathon, Mobil Exxon, British Petroleum, they're going to clean up with this deal.
Dude.
These companies right now, in my opinion, are steals. Now, I would stay away from, me personally, I would stay away from a lot of the oilfield service companies.
Because they no work.
Because there's no work. And the smaller ones aren't going to be able to survive it.
I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I just thought about that. Go ahead.
You know, so yeah, I think there's a lot of money in. Now, I wouldn't recommend the smaller oilfield companies because, you know, the revenue is not generating right now, and they're going to go broke. But then the bigger ones are going to come and take over those leases. That well's already been drilled, it's already been fracked, it's already producing, and they're going to come in and they're going to get it for pennies on the dollar. And when the price of oil goes back up, they're going to cut the pump jack back on. That's like the money machine; they cut it back on.
Dude, I was just thinking that in my head when we drove our equipment back from our new town. You're passing by all them wells and they're just sitting there, shut in. Ain't nothing moving like that. that one really big pad that has about 20 wells on it on the right side of the road going towards Newtown.
Right.
Not moving. So it's that bad. But Luke, thank you. Appreciate that, man. And man, hopefully, man, I'll see you again. And you,
Definitely.
And you have prosperity. You be blessed. And continue doing what you've been doing, which is gambling on you, betting on you. Because obviously, man, you can't lose when you bet on you.
Right.
And the position that you're in, this is evidence that you're being successful. And the route that you've taken, it works.
Well, thanks for coming over.
Hey, man. It's the Oilfield life, man.
That's right.
Appreciate that, bro.